Hi, it's currently 11:06 a.m. Monday, June the 2nd. Wanted to get back and explain, subsequent to the last video I produced, I believe, how one sees exterior indications of the crank up. Jay, on his website, or Deanna's website now, the spiritualfoundation.com website, the quantitative electroencephalogram pictures of what happens in the brain when Jay cranks a person up. Exterior to the head, there are a lot of indications, starting with the scalp, of this crank up taking place. The evolution of your brain, actually. First off, 2 years into my crank up, which was held September 5th, 2017, started to feel dizzy, like what Jay described. It's supposed to last 5-6 years. I'm going on 6 years basically now of that dizziness. Hard to shake, but that's indication in itself. The brain is growing, developing. Seniors don't develop better brains than you younger folks, so appreciate the fact that you probably have more metaphysicality than I do, and that's fine. What I've noticed over the years, though, is that I ended up developing along the way, if I can bring that document up, hold tight, I developed what is called cutis verticis gyrata, and that's the convolutions of the scalp, which is the precursor to the expansion of the skull, because the brain is growing. And I never had it as bad as what you'll see in the link that I've posted below in the comment section, but it was large enough for me to notice it over a period of time, developing as time went on. And then what I also noticed is that an extreme itching of the scalp. I mean, it was just off the wall, hardcore itching I couldn't get rid of. From that, there was a migration over to the left side behind my ear, in which there is some kind of gland, I believe, that was producing an excessive amount of fluid that would just come running off the inside of the ear, kind of really gross, rank smelling like you can't believe. From there, when that subsided, then the middle ear started to develop itching, and that has tapered off. But all this stuff occurred over a period of years. Now, the convolutions in my skull, or on my scalp, has been flattening out. It's kind of like this. If you can imagine your scalp looking like this, and it's flattening out, it's smoothing out, which is really interesting. The itching has gone away. The fluid ejected from the gland behind the ear has gone away, and I just have a small remaining bit of itching in the ear, and I've gone through like 2 boxes of Q-tips to kind of deal with the itching there. And all this stuff is aggravating, but I had to keep in mind that this was indicating that something was going on in my head. So I don't know what you guys have gone through, but certainly you can look at this and see for yourself whether you have any of these symptoms. Now, I got on pub.med.gov, I think, which is the archive library for the research done that has been submitted to this library of all different types of research, that is. And it's this library is under the auspices, I believe, of the National Institute of Health, the NIH. So I started to look at documentation as things progressed forward in each one of these symptoms, proof that stimulation of the hypothalamus does cause the stuff. And there's research there. The problem is, I put this research that I copied somewhere in my external drives, and I can't locate it for now. So all I did was put in a search routine of stimulation of the hypothalamus, and somehow I was led to this documentation. So for what it's worth, noting that this stuff does go on, and again, it's just the exterior part of the body that recognizes the DNA-ICUC that Jay has given us. Now, moving on to a different topic, I have been gone from producing videos for my channel primarily because not only personal issues that are going on, but I've been developing more predominantly, if I can say it, my gosh, my tongue is always tied, predominantly intrusive peripheral neuropathy associated with the diabetes that I have. Over 50% of the people out there, and if you have diabetes, you may know this already, develop peripheral neuropathy, and it's becoming problematic. In fact, what it appears to be doing, at least in the last 3 weeks to a month, is developing into something like, I've got it written down here, neurocutaneous disease, a neurocutaneous disease, or something like sensory motor polyneuropathy. That is, this disease takes over and shuts down the nervous system. And what I thought before was vibration of the body could, in fact, I believe now, is just my nervous system shutting down. I'm hoping that, when Jay crosses over, I don't really, I'm not saying that I'm in favor of it, but he's got to do what he's got to do. He says there's going to be changes in us, and I hope that my nervous system can be cured or the symptoms be alleviated by him crossing over. Then the other day I had noticed when I was at the library, which I'm here producing this video in the backyard of, there was an ad on a YouTube video. It was like a 45-minute ad, and I never listened to ads before, but this one I kept my ear tuned to, because there's this doctor which explained this vitamin combination of ingredients that he's developed that cures peripheral neuropathy. And if any of you have it, you know what I'm talking about, man. It's aggravating. I'm going to provide a link to the video that he produced. I wish I knew how to save that particular ad video. If any of you out there know how to do that, let me know. I don't know whether there's software other than 4K video downloader to do that, but it's something worth saving. And even if you guys don't have diabetes or peripheral neuropathy, I would highly recommend you look at this video, because you need to be appraised of, is it appraised or apprised? I always get those two words mixed up. You need to know this information, because diabetes is the third leading killer of people. The product specifically that this doctor has developed is called Nerve Bliss, BLISS, and I tried looking it up on eBay and Amazon. I think I found that being sold, but I looked at the ingredients and tried to compare it with what this doctor's ad was saying as the viable ingredients associated with it, because there's a lot of copycat stuff out there. And I had to walk away from further study because the library was closing at the time. In any case, I'm going to take the risk and buy 6 months supply of this stuff, which the doctor recommends taking, and see what happens, and I'll report back in a video in the future of how effective it's been. But I'm telling you, if I knew that the crank up was going to, and Jay admits this, it intensifies anything and everything that goes on in the body, I would not have had a crank up. So you know, everything I've been talking about in my stream and line of videos is accurate. It's forthcoming about my history in going through the DNA-ICUC metaphysical evolution here, and I think it would be safe to follow what I have to say about learning how to project your energy. And I can see this stuff now in daylight, as opposed to a long time ago where I could only see this stuff taking place, you know, at nighttime. And it's kind of interesting. I still don't understand what main purpose this stuff can do. I know that being cranked up by Jay has helped me physically. I've got 2 rotator cuff issues that healed simultaneously. The left side, your right, I've had for 22 years, and the right side, your left, as you see me, I got 4 years ago. And the fact that they've simultaneously healed themselves is, to me, is indication that the Jay's energy, once imbibed in us, does have physical health effects. Also, you know, for the longest time I was losing hair like crazy. It's kind of funny. My vacuum broke a couple years back, and I didn't have a chance to vacuum my living room rug for the longest time. And I went back after I fixed the thing, and I could peel, disgusting, right? I could peel up the hairs that I lost as a layer on top of the rug, and they're really gross to talk about. But it's important to understand that all this hair that would fall out, you know, 200 hairs a day, it would seem like, just stopped. It stopped. And oh, the one thing I forgot to say was maybe the 6th indication of the scalp is growing out and smoothing out, subsequent to the brain growing from Jay's crank up, is I would get what looked like flakes of skin, like snow, right? Disgusting, right? It would come from the top of the head where the scalp was growing and expanding itself. I would never get it on the side. So in general, you know, if you have flaky skin, that's just because the person doesn't rinse the hair good enough, and that's the conditioner drying and flaking off. So in any case, I had to mention that. So getting back to what I was saying, the idea of having a crank up, you know, if anybody's listening to this video is trying to make the decision whether to have a crank up or not, first get a diabetes test, A1C test specifically, to make sure that there is no hidden diabetes, or there's the onset at some future point of this diabetes taking over your body. Hold off until you know, can cure the diabetes, which you can. In addition, I'm thinking maybe once I go through the routine of ingesting this vitamin formula this guy has made, and he describes exactly what each component of this vitamin routine he's developed has on our bodies. And yes, of course, one can go to YouTube, and there's tons of information on, you know, D3 and you know, this, that, and other you should be taking to alleviate the symptoms of diabetes and peripheral neuropathy in particular. So there's options out there. It's just that you want to take advantage of this information that I'm giving you about this nerve bliss and all the other stuff on YouTube before things develop in yourself. Because, I mean, once you go through the body just shutting down, it seems, I mean, it's very painful stuff for me. It's not worth it, you know. It's just not worth it. And to be honest, I wish Jay had a person who knew how to, along the way, knew how to remove the metaphysicality in me. I would have taken that with the idea that I've gone back and tried to cure my diabetes too, even before the peripheral neuropathy was taking effect. Once cured, then I come back and get another crank up. And yes, I wouldn't have Jay's, what's he call it here? I wouldn't have his signatures, what he describes it as. I wouldn't have Jay's signature in me, and the ETs would not be able, I guess, to recognize me from anybody else who's been cranked up and not source. But the pain, folks, I'm telling you, it's not worth it. So what else do I have to say at this point? I have a lot more information to say. I'm trying to pick up speed so that my words can flow a little bit better, because I know most of you don't have time to waste listening to just any rinky-dink video about something that, or information you may even know already. So let me sign off from this thing. And before I go, I want to say that perhaps I have 2 more videos outlined already. One about the, 3 of them actually. Synesthesia. You got to look up, using the link I have posted below, on the concept of synesthesia. People who've been cranked up or have natural metaphysical abilities can develop all types of abilities, and there's a list in this link I'm going to give you of all the different types of abilities people have, and I've never been able to find a comprehensive list of what potentially we could have as we move forward in our metaphysicality. Well, this list seems to point out a lot of stuff. I still have to get back to it. It's a compendium of everything you'd want to think about, maybe with even your own abilities, an add to list. I wish, by the way, I had my telepathy back. I've lost it years and years ago, and Jay told me, yeah, you're right, Ken. You've got to be very relaxed to recover and have it. Boy, I'd like to have that ability more than anything else. It is so cool. You're walking by somebody and you know what they're thinking. Oh. But anyway, you'll notice that I have my channel title as Telepathy for the Deaf-Blind, and that's because there is another type of telepathy, and I've described that as being a combination of quantitative entanglement, spooky connection, where an object in space here can be located someplace else. And then I talked about God, I'm losing my mind, folks. Can I remember? Can you remember what I've said? Oh, polarity. That there's positive, negative sides of all parts of our body. And I can project the image of this hand. Right now I'm making the American Sign Language sign for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I've been studying ASL, so I can speak to a deaf person real easy now. But every one of these hand signs I feel inside myself, and it's got to be terra firma, quantitative entanglement, spooky connection, or something else. I don't know. Jay would know. He's just probably, he knows I've been on this kick of trying to explain this stuff to the public, to you guys, but he hasn't stepped in to maybe correct me. But lately, though, maybe for the last month, I can feel a change in the strength of my projection of this energy. Not only does it go through walls, I can stand in the middle of a doorway and I can project it through the wall and feel this energy. It's Jay's energy, man. It's Jay's energy, and God, it blows me away. It's when you have this kind of this ability, or I call it a skill because I can't control this stuff. It's just on all the time, and every time I point at my body, something erupts, fasciculation, the fluttering of the muscles, or it feels like bruising. I know I probably have talked about this stuff before, but I aim this at my knee when I'm lying down at night, and I wake up and my knee is just frozen. That's why I don't walk anymore. I use a stationary bicycle to exercise, because the movement of my left arm and my hand repeatedly swinging past my knee, it messes me up after the walk. So it's too intense to cure people, I think. I've tried, and I mentioned I tried to test this stuff on my friend Ed, an older guy who's 84 years old actually, and I hovered my hand. Was it this hand only or both hands? No, I think it was just this hand. I hovered over his hand while he sit in his lazy boy chair. He went to sleep like within 30 seconds, and I held the hand over his head. I propped up my arm like that, and I did that for 30 minutes and walked away, and he woke up. He was screaming bloody murder. I was like, whoa, I never heard him scream at all. Soft-spoken guy. He's either heart or solar plexus. He had a crank up by Jay a long time ago, maybe when he was 77 years old. He's currently 85, so that was 8 years ago. But he never practiced his metaphysicality, and like Jay chewed out someone in the past, calling him a couch potato. Well, Ed's been a couch potato all along, and I have not been successful at encouraging him to practice this metaphysicality that Jay gave him. Although he gets approached by the Fae, and they like to mess with him while he's in the chair at night. They'll touch his arm. They'll touch the blanket that he uses to pull over. He sleeps in that chair predominantly because he's got a bad back. So what can I say? And I still haven't talked about all that I can do with this energy, and it's because really it takes a lot of description, very slowly patterned description, to lead you through what this stuff is doing. It's not easy to define. It's ineffable, actually, hard to define. And all along I've kept thinking that, you guys don't have the patience to want to listen to all this stuff, because it has evolved over many years. I was a late bloomer with regard to this crank up. I only started seeing the real effects of it after 7 years. And yeah, you'll notice in my early videos I've talked about feeling a connection between my head, my feet, my hands. It's there. It is there. It's just like this tether of some sort, this energetic tether that's there. So anytime I'm moving my hands, I feel this tether, being reconfigured. And yeah, this stuff is really interesting, but at the same time, it's like Jay says about his metaphysicality. I remember that one time he was, I don't know, maybe I'm repeating myself, but he had some kind of a video, and he was talking to us, the public, and then all of a sudden he interrupted himself because Deanna in the other room was talking to him telepathically, and then he's talking to the babysitter up there in the second dam, and then he's chewing out the birds that are making all kinds of noise outside his window. He's deleting stuff on the other side, and what else? Something else. Oh, I think this is the video where he's talking about there was a dragon spinning around the backyard tree. So he says, you get so used to this stuff, it's just no big deal. Well, that's kind of like where I'm coming from. I do this stuff all the time, and I focus this energy, I articulate it. Every time I turn, and you've heard me say this, every time I turn my hand just 1 millimeter, it changes the frequencies so that I see a different picture inside of me. So what can I do to help people with this? If I'm expressing this at Ed and it hurts them, you know, and I express this stuff, shine this stuff at me. I don't know, folks, and I certainly don't want to turn out to be another Penny Bradley where she was using her kinetic energy and she could blow the brains out of people. And there's a video on that. I ain't going to point anyone towards that. I have a great reluctance at pointing this stuff towards my head. I can do it, yeah, but it's getting those exact frequencies to mess with me that I don't want. I almost blew up my optical nerve and my what do you call that? Senioritis is taken over here. What do you call the ear? Whatever you call it, the nerve in the ear. You know what I'm talking about. And actually, I got to show you something here. This is how bad it's getting for me. Getting into my briefcase. Did I print it out? I am forgetting so much stuff. Oh, these are the documents I'm going to use for the script coming up. Oh, in fact, I should probably talk about that. I have to write down all the key words that I fumble to retrieve from my mind because my memory is just going like heck. I mean, these are simple everyday terms, and I need these when I describe the things I'm going through in my metaphysicality evolution. So, folks, don't get old, man. It's not worth it. Okay. Here's a script for the next video that I will be talking about, or the video after that. Accommodations for the living and accommodations for people. I got a big kick out of listening to Jay Essex talk about what Tim, the Englishman, I forget his last name actually, what he's going to be doing once Jay crosses over. And Tim's a good guy. You can tell by looking at any of the interviews that he has with Jay on the Walker Valsius channel. I like that name, Walker. It sounds distinctive, like he's a noble of some sort, you know? Walker Valsius. And you know, Jay has said that you're going to be, and it's hard, you have to understand, and you'll recognize when you listen to these videos, it's hard sometimes to understand what Jay is saying because he's soft-spoken now. He's under tremendous pain, tremendous pressure, and he wants to give the last vestiges of his advice to Tim before he crosses over. Well, there was something that Jay said about Tim being assigned some kind of position where he's going to counsel the religious people out there. Religious people, I'm assuming, is referring to the people that are going to go freaky once Jay crosses over and it causes all this existential change in this world that he's got lined up. And you know how many, billions of religious people there are out there. They're going to go crazy. What? No God. Obviously, I don't believe in God. I believe in Jay, though. In the source field. And it also leads me to believe that, you know, because there are billions of people, I'm not so sure Tim can handle it all. Maybe there's other people who have been assigned $10 million homes in other countries around the globe because Muslims, for example, you're going to need someone to handle them. They're intense. They are intense when they talk. So in any case, I started to think about what Tim's going to go through with this $10 million home. He's probably going to get a couple boats, you know, Alfa Romeos or Ferraris or something like that. You know, he's going to deserve this stuff because he's going to be out there in front of public view 24 hours a day talking to the public. And I hope to Gaia even, that Jay has him set up with the kind of presence that the sea dragon and the land dragon have, in which they can appear 1,000 feet in the air. I mean, imagine Tim presenting himself, you know, 1,000 feet in the air at various locations around the United States, if that's going to be his territory, you know. That's going to freak people out. That's going to let them realize, you know, Jay means business. So I want to talk about another video maybe next time around. But in this case, I want to break down the challenge in my mind, just for fun, just being off the wall, the challenge Tim's going to have in pulling his act together with a $10 million home, or castle actually. And that's a big spread, right? So 10 room minimum. So I think you'll get a big kick out of listening to what I have to say about how he's going to have management take over to some degree. Well, he spreads the word of metaphysicality around the country. In any case, I'll stop it there, and I don't know, maybe I'll have time to, if I have enough battery in my laptop, to talk about this stuff. And don't miss that video. I'm not making fun of Tim. I'm just saying, actually, if you feel jealous that he's going to get a $10 million mansion, don't, because there's so much responsibility involved with maintaining that piece of property. Anyway, I'm going to sign off right now and collect my thoughts, maybe grab a drink of water, something like that, maybe do this thing about Tim, and it's kind of impressive if I can pat myself on the shoulder. So don't miss it, okay? Be good, be kind, do good for community, and I'll see you in a bit, okay? So let me stop this puppy here. Bye.